So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Welcome to the Pace Radio Show. My name is Al Grant, and we are coming to you live, yes live, here on LifestyleRadio.ca, as well as at Spreaker. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by my East Coast joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, and tonight we have a guest for you, a person who has been a big voice in the medical cannabis community and gets involved in lots of things and has helped so many patients that no one could ever keep count. So before we bring her into the show and introduce her, I'm going to have a quick chat with Debbie. Debbie, are you there?
Hey, Al, I sure am.
Good, good. I saw some news recently on Facebook. You're got a new member of the family?
We certainly do have a beautiful grandson born yesterday around lunchtime.
Wow, wow. Everybody's happy, healthy, and smiling away?
Very much so. Yeah.
Good.
9-pound bouncing baby boy.
Oh, 9 pounds. Oh, well, he's got a good start on him then.
He certainly does.
Yes, yes. That was, it's always good when you have a start of a new life. It's very exciting for the family. But as you're probably aware, within our own cannabis community, our own family type situation, we've also lost somebody.
Yes, that was certainly sad news to wake up to yesterday morning to learn of the passing of Mark Burkett.
Yes, it was. I got to meet. I didn't really meet Mark. You did meet Mark, did you not? Like, were you involved with Mark in the court cases?
I never had the pleasure of meeting Mark face to face. We were certainly in touch more in particular in my early days of activism. I remember running into him in the Canadian Cannabis Coalition, a listserv of Canadian activists, and he was certainly front and center in that group and with his MedPot online, his forum.
Yes, correct. I know that he was
help to many patients.
Yes, like I know he was big in spreading the news, and I guess you could call him like a news spammer. I was the same situation where I like to share news, and Mark would share the news that I shared, and we shared it back and forth. And it was a guy like him that sort of guided me along the way. So, as you mentioned, MedPot was his discussion and news forum that a lot of advocates went to.
Well, certainly, and he was certainly a guiding light and a great influence on many activists and advocates through the years.
Yeah, yeah. Now
he'll be sorely missed.
Yes, he will be. He will be. The one last thing that I touch on the news-wise is Global Marijuana March happening in next week, 10 days?
Yes, it certainly is on May the 7th. We have one planned in Halifax. For that afternoon, people will be gathering in Victoria Park beginning at 1 p.m., I believe. And that's directly across from the Commons, and around 3 o'clock we'll be marching from there down to the provincial courthouse on Spring Garden Road, where by that point, of course, naturally, we'll need to pause and have a medication break.
Yes, you will.
in front of the courthouse where a number of Nova Scotians have been prosecuted, and particularly most recently Chris Enns of Pharmacists. So it certainly seems like an appropriate place to have a medication break, and then we'll be returning to the park.
Sure.
And at the park we'll have vendors and speakers and our barbecue set up with hot dogs and that sort of thing.
How many years have you been doing it there? Or is this...
Oh, you're really testing my memory now.
Oh, that long. Hey, that's good. That's
I'm in grandma brain and you're asking me to think, Al. That's not fair. We've been involved in the orchestration of the Global Marijuana March in Halifax. Let me see. I think since approximately 2006. But it was
10
happening
years?
for a while before that. There was a bit of a lull because the organizers of the original Global Marijuana March in Halifax were Melanie Stevens and Michael Patrickman, and Michael was in jail for a couple of years for cannabis-related charges.
And then you guys stepped in and kept it going.
Yes, we
Good,
did.
good. Yeah, I know the one in Toronto, which is always a very large gathering. It'll be happening, and they unfortunately don't have the festival like they did in past years. It's just now back to the regular style of March, but there's still always a nice large turnout, and I plan on being there. So. All right, and talking about going to events and stuff, I think it's time that we bring in our guest.
Well, certainly, because I think we have an event-going gal just anxious and eager to talk to us.
I think so, too. So at this time, I'd like to welcome our guest, cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite, to the Pace Radio Show. Sandra, are you there?
Yes. Hi. How is everyone doing this evening?
Good, good. And yourself?
I'm great. While we were speaking about the Toronto Global Marijuana March, that's coming up May 7th. We're gathering at high noon at Queen's Park.
Yes.
No, we don't have the festival, but I would love to see the numbers this year to gather, and let's all get together. I think it's a crucial year.
It sure is. It sure is.
Yes.
We'll get into that stuff as we go along throughout the show. We want to find out a little bit about you first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we always like to have our guests on here.
know?
So I got some questions for you, Sandra.
Okay.
And Debbie will be joining in as we go along here. You've met Debbie in the past, I understand?
Oh, yes. We met, last time we met was at the Treating Yourself Expo in 2012. We spoke at length, and we were involved with the Normal Women's Alliance at that time. And I miss her. I haven't seen her in a long time. I'd like to see her. God
It
speak
has
with
been
you tonight,
too long,
Deb.
Sandra.
Pardon me?
It has been too long for sure.
Way too long, dear. Well, we're East Coast girls, so we got a bond.
For sure.
That's right. That's one of my first questions. I was going to say, I know of you as an advocate living in Toronto. That's where, that's all I've known you, where you've lived and been involved in the stuff that you do. But you didn't always grow up there, right?
Oh, no. I was born in Sydney Mines, Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Came here at a young age to Kitchener and lived there most of my life. But I actually came to Toronto in '95 and went through a lot. Didn't know a lot of people at the time, and and then I wound up going back to Kitchener for about a year just before the year 2000. That didn't really work out. But what happened during those years that I went back, I found out that I had fibromyalgia and I had chronic fatigue, and all these things were just preventing me from functioning. The pain was unbearable. I had no idea what it was, and I finally got diagnosed in 2000. And I also suffered from PTSD from all the things I had gone through in 5 years, from 95 to 2000. So with multiple addictions and everything, I was really desperate because I knew that I wasn't who I used to be.
Correct. Correct.
And so I researched it while I was in Kitchener, and I found two clubs, one being the Toronto Compassion Center, and the other was CALM. And CALM actually interested me at that time. And so I was so fortunate to find a doctor that understood what I was going through. And we're talking 2001 here.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the questions.
Those doctors were few and far between then, weren't they?
Oh, yes, very few and far between. And so I became a member of CALM. He signed a letter of diagnosis, which gained me membership there. And then shortly after that, the management team there approached me and asked me if I would like to volunteer for them. And 9 years later,
all right,
the rest is history.
We'll get into more of that along the way here. So so do you find that you have certain ways that you like to consume your cannabis in order to help you with your conditions?
If I have intense, deep pain, I find consuming baked goods really are effective for me. For sleep, like pain from trying to sleep. And but I generally I'm old school. I do like just the joint at the end of the day.
That's right.
I will vaporize. I understand all about dabbing and all stuff, but I'm not a huge dabber kind of thing. So I just kind of find relief from that plain old organic smoke. That's what I like.
Correct. Now as far as when it comes to your eating, see, that's the nice thing about talking to patients about how they consume things, and that it gives people who maybe who are listening to the first time the knowledge that they need to maybe approach their doctor to know that somebody like yourself has found the benefits in eating cannabis as well as smoking it. So how has it improved your quality of life, do you feel?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, it actually got me off. I mean, I can list you all the medications I was on. I'm surprised I was actually walking. But it took me 6 months, and cannabis helped me overcome the withdrawals from all those medications. And even after 6 months, I was feeling it. That was in 2001, 2002. I have been off everything since then, and cannabis is my only medication to relieve any symptoms that I have. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and you find it manages your the symptoms from your fibromyalgia quite well?
Very effectively. Different strains work better, of course. I find indica strains really are effective for the pain, and also helps me relax, sleep. And I don't have a problem. Like, I like the sativa strains, stuff like that. The sativa dominants, I don't mind them from time to time, but I generally find relief from indica, actually.
Well, I know there are similarities between fibromyalgia and MS, and I find personally sativa strains are beautiful. On those mornings and days you get up and your head feels like it's London and there's pea soup fog and you can't get out of your own way.
Yes. I know the feeling.
And a few puffs and you can almost feel that cloud of fog starting to part and you can get on with your day.
That just reminded me of a client that I was dealing with back in 2012. She never tried cannabis before, and she came in. She said to me, "Sandra, I only had 3 puffs, and I feel better than I've ever felt before." So a lot of people are starting to become aware that it can bring tremendous relief, but it also helps to bring a more positive attitude to yourself as well. So I think cannabis has a role in a lot of things.
Oh, I agree. I find as well with me in particular, it helps me to stay focused and in the moment.
Yes. It helps you live in the moment. If you have anxiety issues, certainly there are strains that are very effective for that. It's actually for depression. I just read today that CBD is very effective in relieving depression, so that's encouraging.
For sure, because there's a lot of patients out there who are dealing with
depression. It's
and
one of
cannabis,
those things that people don't like to talk about, but it exists. It is a real condition, and all mental health conditions deserve respect and treat it like anyone else that has a major illness in their life.
Yes, that's true. Now, Sandra, I know that you obviously you're a patient in that, and you're involved in the cannabis community. Some recent stuff that has come out in the news is the Ontario government is bringing in this Bill 54, which is combining vaping of medicinal cannabis with the smoking laws.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been following any of that?
Yes, I am. I actually attended the very first meeting with Abby Roach.
Oh, okay.
And Camille Salter. They organized the very first meeting and had quite a few players there from different aspects of our industry. And it is going to really impact, not just the businesses that exist that pay taxes, right? Because they've been there for years, but it's going to impact medical patients. We just can't sit home and watch TV and smoke cannabis. We need to socialize. That's part of being healthy as a human being. And
Correct.
We need to get out there and be with other people. And to be honest, if there's vapor lounges and people go there, they're aware that there is vapor there or smoke there. And if they don't have an issue with it, then they should be licensed to do so. And so we need to have that happen. And I'm not sure how this is going to affect the clubs, but when you look at how they're commenting on the number of clubs that are popping up daily, almost really, they're calling it the Wild West. And so you may see a Vancouver-style licensing come in. I don't know what their final end game is on this, but if it shuts down, it's going to be a human rights issue for patients.
Oh yeah, for sure, because it gives basically they're forcing the patient back out on the street if they do that, to close down the clubs. I think it's very we're very lucky and fortunate to have businesses and people who are willing to open up this style of establishment
and take the risk.
They've proven themselves over and over and over again as places that are viable and places that don't cause problems within society.
What, the dispensaries and the vapor lounges?
I'm talking about the lounges.
Well, the lounges, yes. The dispensaries are blend in quite well, but yes, the lounges blend into the community quite well. They provide tax dollars. They provide people with employment. It has to change. It has to exist. We have a culture that needs to be maintained medicinally.
You could be putting out, I'm just thinking, just between the lounges that I know of here in Toronto, a couple hundred people would be out of work. Never mind the spin-off business. The spin-off business is off of that.
Yes, exactly. And so there's going to be an economic impact as well. For sure. Because I actually know that he's a politician. I won't say his name, but he commented on my Facebook on a thread in regards to the bill that these businesses pay taxes. What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
they're offering. It's a service.
Like I said before, I don't know what the end game is, but I do strongly believe that it will come out positive for patients. We just have to remain positive and keep repeating the message, and hopefully we'll get what we need.
Exactly. Well, go ahead, Sam.
Certainly, the licensing of vapor lounges would be a far easier, less complex process than the licensing of dispensaries.
Excellent point, Debbie. And I think that if the city wants to ensure that they're in a certain area, They can do that. They can be licensed. They can get a green pass. They can do all kinds of things to legitimize them and bring dignity to patients that can access these places. Because that's it. I don't want to go back to the days like in the 70s when we used to go across the street at high school in Kitchener and got high and the narcotics officers would drive by. I don't want to go back to those days. I deserve dignity at this point. We all medical patients deserve that.
Certainly.
Certainly. Well, on that note, it's time for us to take a break. And it's time for us to highlight a Canadian cannabis band. And tonight, that band is Collectivo and their song, Even for Free. When we return, Debbie and I will continue our talk with cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite. This is the Pace Radio Show, live on LifestyleRadio.ca.
Par l'esprit du Rastaman. Whoa, everybody get into the trance. Whoa, montre-moi ta main, I see your hands. Whoa, I'm just here to give myself a chance.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet. www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on LifestyleRadio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
One and the toots, and the tree know what it's for. Everybody's now under a spell on the dance floor.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show live here at LifestyleRadio.ca, as well as on Spreaker, or you can find us at other audio locations such as Mixcloud and TuneIn Radio. If I sound a little bit different tonight, it's because I'm testing some equipment for some future broadcasting. Coming this cannabis season, I'm planning on reporting live from some events or locations within my area, as well as in Toronto. So far, the test is going good. So listen in to hear a report from live events such as the Global Marijuana March or the Lift Expo to more grassroots events such as the Peterborough's Cannabis Day or possible business openings. So listen to Lifestyle Radio in the future. Keep listening to us and catch these live reports and see how we sound. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite, plus my joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, who is with the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. Debbie, Sandra, you still with me?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Good.
Most definitely.
All right. Sandra, before the break, we were just getting into talking about, Bill 54, and which is all part about, cannabis advocacy work, getting involved, speaking up, so on and so forth. Why and how did you get involved in the cannabis community in the beginning?
Well, as I said earlier, I joined COM, became a volunteer there, and in time I was intake admin for them, and I got involved with doing patient education and basically reaching out to different organizations in Toronto, such as PWA, ACT, and we had some various harm reduction clinics in the city as well that we dealt with. I was involved with community centers. We would provide education to help their clients to get safe access and to discuss the MMAR program at that time.
I think maybe one of the first times that you and I met, you and I were at a health show, but you were in a comm booth, and I was in a treating yourself.
Oh, I remember that. That was the Total Health Show.
Correct.
Amy was there. She was working with me at admin at the time, Amy Brown.
Yes.
And yes, that was a good show. We were part of that,
wasn't it?
For a few years.
Yeah, I still got pictures of that event for sure. So, like, was that something that was sort of new for you guys as well as it was for me at that time, or had you been doing that for a couple of years? As far as like going into these shows where people don't expect to see a cannabis booth, non-cannabis event.
It wasn't done. I mean, to go and talk about at that time. At the Metro Toronto Convention Center about cannabis, that's huge. The one of the other clubs, spearheaded by Tracy Curley, actually, they went to I think it was the Total House Show, in fact, and so that sort of we realized that door was opening, and of course. Marco Renda from Treating Yourself knew that I think that door was opening as well. And so, it was a bit of credibility that cannabis was developing at that time. That was huge back then.
Oh, it was. It was. And, people today still react the same way as they did during those shows. Like right now, I'm involved with Wayne from Canada's, and he has a booth in a flea market here near me, and I'll tell you, people are still turning their heads in surprise.
Oh yeah. I love seeing the reactions even to this day, and what always has been a thrill to me is when I see an older couple and they know nothing about it, and you tell them all about it, and you just see the interest in their eyes, and you can see that you're washing away the years of programming they've endured. So. That's what we need to keep on doing.
It is. How I used to describe it was back to the Grinch That Stole Christmas and how his heart grew. Not saying we had small hearts, but our hearts just grew bigger and bigger. Being able to communicate and talk to patients and seeing, the reactions to it. It was almost become addictive, where you wanted to keep doing it and getting back out there again.
That's what it is, and with that said, I have to really sum up that it was truly the most unique experience I ever had, and a very different time. and I learned things about people that I don't think I could have learned in any other environment, working environment. And I got to help a lot of really good people, and I want to continue to do that. It's in me. I got to do it.
It is. It's in all of us. It's in Debbie. Debbie's always out there pounding the pavement and educating people. And well, actually, Debbie, did you just have some cannabis and brain trauma seminar?
Well, we had a medical cannabis conference that we held in one of the larger towns, actually in Nova Scotia, which is Truro, for people who know Nova Scotia. We held it at a Lions Hall, and we had in total probably 75 people come and go throughout the day. The morning session talked about we had Evan Price, who's the president of the Truro I'll get this right, the Truro Herbal Company, who will be Nova Scotia's first licensed producer. I spoke briefly about the history of MUM. Chris Backer talked extensively about the MUM court support work we do. And then Marcel Gignac, who's often on the 420 Lifestyle Radio show, spoke about cannabinoids and how to calculate cannabinoids in percentages of THC in your edibles.
Nice.
Or cannabis in your edibles, I'm sorry. Grandma brain again. And then the afternoon was just an incredible panel presentation of a pharmacist who's very understanding of the benefits of cannabis for patients with PTSD and depression. And we had 4 patients, all who have PTSD, depression, anxiety. We had Melissa Ellsworth, who worked as a psychiatric nurse and worked in corrections. Mark Morrison, a veteran. We had Tabitha Ward, who again is no stranger to the 420 Lifestyle Radio show. She sits on the MUM board, and she's a peer support worker with the Canadian Association of Mental Health. And Noah Starr, who's also a veteran from New Brunswick. And they all shared their stories in great depth, and it was just an amazing experience. And there was a couple in the audience, and he's waiting for his appointment to get his medical approval that is 3 months away, and just wondering how he was going to hang on. He spoke of needing to go out in the parking lot to have a Valium at lunchtime because his anxiety was just so overwhelming, but he needed to be there, and he needed to hear the information that was being presented. And he had question after question after question, and it was just, to me, it was just a really emotional experience. Listening to everything and participating in particular the afternoon segment.
Well, congratulations to MUM for holding such an event like that. That's terrific when you can reach out to people and have people do your panels and get the word out. And Sandra, did you participate in anything like that in the past?
Not quite such as that, no.
Yeah. No, but you have participated in events in the past.
Lots of events. Everything from, of course, the Global Marijuana March here in Toronto. I'm currently doing events with an organization here in Toronto. It's actually originated out of the United States. It's called Women Grow, and I joined the steering committee back in early 2015 with our chair, Lisa Campbell. And,
yes, I know Lisa. Very nice.
Pardon me?
Yes, I know Lisa. She's very nice.
She's awesome. And our first event was Mandy McKnight discussing her challenges with her son's epilepsy. And if you were there, it was really a really heartbreaking story, because to see what her son goes through on a daily basis, and then to see that he gets relieved by using cannabis oil. Down to having no seizures. It was an amazing story.
It is. And to be able to listen to Mandy or another parent who's gone through that, it's just, it can be really, really hard.
Well, there's so many of them that are dealing with this, the similar situation.
Yeah.
It's got to be exhausting for a mother or father.
It's for the cannabis community, for the patients and stuff, to have a parent like that come out and speak about it so openly, like Mandy has. Yeah, so kudos to the Women Grow to for the events that you're putting on. What other events have you done with them, like as far as the Women Grow? I think I did the Total Health Show. What's the one they have? The home show, I believe it is. Yeah, we did home shows. I think you and I worked together on that one year. Oh yeah, home shows. We did the Treating Yourself Expo. You were there.
Yes, I was.
Yes,
and that was a great experience. I miss those days. The LIFT conference coming up this May, I believe, is a nice replacement, but I would have to say that nobody did it like Marco. So.
That very first year, I'll tell you, he had everything in there. It was. And it covered 3 floors of the Metro Toronto Convention Center.
Absolutely. We had a lounge for people. We had the balcony where everyone socialized and medicated. It was probably one of the most looked forward, besides the Global Marijuana March, events of the year. And I hope we get that, because I think now we're at a point where we really need to educate all.
Correct. And I agree. I call it the LIFT Expo. It's the TY Expo. It got the door open. Big event in a big center, government-run building. Coverage was from all around the world that first year. It ended 4 years later. Who was in there last year? Oh, jeez. Champs, right.
Champs, yes, I remember Champs.
Yeah, and I thought it was all gone. So I think it's great that the left has gotten involved to still bring cannabis education to the community, and it's wide open. Anybody can go. It's at a reasonable cost. There's, the vendors, it's full. There's no vending space left.
Well, speaking about education, that's exactly what Women Grow does. Is we connect and we educate and we try to inspire and empower, a whole group of younger
you guys.
people.
You mentioned Mandy. You have other speakers that have come out.
Well, now that you mentioned that, we have an awesome speaker coming up this Thursday, May 5th, and we're really excited about it. But it's patient advocate Tracy Curley, and also known as Weed Woman, and she'll be at the Center for Social Innovation at 720 Bathurst Street here in Toronto. If you go on Facebook, you can find information to purchase tickets. You still have time. Tracy's amazing. You got to hear her story. So I'm really looking forward to that.
When does this usually start, like as far as time-wise?
The time where the event actually starts?
Yeah, just to give people
I think around 8 p.m. we start. We have a little meet and greet before. There's food.
Yeah.
And I remember in particular a very amazing event. We had Amy Brown was speaking at one event. Amazing story to hear there. Charlotte Green, we had her.
Yes, I attended that one.
Yes, it was amazing to hear her story and her unique choice of words.
Yes.
But she's a lovely woman. It was a great event. We got a good turnout for that, and we will continue to try to bring really interesting people to the table to just talk about their stories.
Well, I know the event that I attended when Charlotte Green was there. I was out. People were sitting out in the hallway because your area was too. It was filled.
It was filled. It's a very, very unique venue. The innovation centers. They have a nice little staging area. It's very, very, I would just say it's unique. And there are other people at the front, participating in whatever they do, but we have a little area. So people will really like it. It's very easy to access. You just, from Bloor and Bathurst, you just take the subway to Bathurst Street and just go southbound on Bathurst.
Yeah. And the Women Grow events are about networking, getting together with other cannabis people. And it's not just for women, correct?
No, absolutely. I mean, women are taking the initiative to put it all together. But, we absolutely invite men to come to this event. We need men there. I mean, all these, why would we rule out that kind of experience?
That's right.
That people can tap
into. Just in case any men thought that it was just a women's event. No, there's everybody attends these things. It's great.
No, we're pretty open.
That's right. Okay, Debbie, have you got any quick questions? A question for Sandra before we go for the break? Or you want to wait till after the break?
Yeah. Maybe it'd be best after the break.
Let's wait till after the break. Maybe we just got them all answered. Okay, break time. Tonight's featured band is a Quebec-based band called Collectivo. And their song Even for Free. When we return, Debbie and I will continue this conversation with our guest, cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite. And you're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at LifestyleRadio.ca.
C'est pour ça que je vous chante comme un Jamaïcain. On fait le tour du monde ici au Yucatan. Pour vous endoctriner, vous convertir en ban. The show you said resisting cause the combo du plan. Nous sommes pas célébres, c'est du cœur
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the Pace Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoll-Skiffen, or Alison Merlin, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at LifestyleRadio.ca.
Whoa, everybody get into the trance. Whoa, Pokemon for melody.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live at LifestyleRadio.ca. Plus, you can find us out Shoutcast, YouTube, and other social media. As I said before the break, tonight we feature the Quebec-based band by the name of Collectivo and their song Even for Free. One of the members of the band, Chantal Ario, is a former joint host here on the Pace Radio Show. Chantal brought us Quebec-based cannabis advocates such as Adam Greenblatt and others. If you enjoyed tonight's song, you can find it and much more of Collectivo's music and videos on YouTube and at their website found at collectivo.ca. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite, and my joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen. Debbie and Sandra, before the break, we were talking about some of Sandra's cannabis advocacy work.
Yeah.
And throughout the show, occasionally, Sandra does mention about her work with the compassion centers, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, I started early in 2001, but I'll give you a little history about how it's like a little snapshot. I don't have a detailed history of the club,
sure.
But back in December 1997, Terry Parker, I think a lot of people in the community are aware who Terry is, along with his lawyer, Professor Alan Young, convinced the judge at that time the prohibition of cannabis violated his constitutional rights. And so the federal government did appeal that decision, but the Court of Appeal of Ontario gave Health Canada 1 year to devise a plan for mass distribution of cannabis for medical purposes. So that's a snapshot of how it all sort of started. But I think before, I think the clubs kind of started in a very informal way back in the late 1990s. It was kind of like, well, I do know back the owner of Calm 20 years ago hopped on his bike and delivered it. So, that was the very beginnings of Calm. I'm not aware of the roots of the other compassion clubs.
No, but when you were working, when you started with Calm, how many clubs were in the city?
There were only 3, and the Toronto Compassion Centre, Calm, and MedCan Access, which was formerly known as Human. So, yes, it was a very different time. And I must express that rules were established so that these clubs could exist and be accepted by such as the police force and politicians. We did manage to have a relationship, apparently, with 51 Division. As we all well know, that didn't exactly work out very well in 2010. But there was only 3 clubs at the time, and I believe some newer ones started popping up in the village, Rainbow, and I think there was another one, people jokingly referred to it as Kentucky Fried Cannabis, because it was an old KFC building, but they had a vapor lounge upstairs. I just can't remember the name of it at the time. So it was a very different time. People didn't have a lot of options.
So did those clubs back then, did they basically, you did the intake work, as you mentioned, for Calm, right?
Yes.
Did all the clubs basically have the same procedures?
Exactly. Absolutely. If you ever go to British Columbia Compassion Club Society, they have excellent standards in there as to how they operate clubs. And I would say pretty much Calm and TCC and Human followed those procedures right to the T. And I will also add that there are some clubs that currently exist today that are following those procedures. And with that said, I do understand it's a different time, but we had to do this. We had to be very low key. We couldn't reveal where we were located until we had the confirmation from the physician. Just a lot of different things, and we evolved as things happen.
I call them the old school ones, the ones that don't have the big flashy lights. We'll get onto them here in a minute or two.
Yeah.
Now, as far as these where your work was and stuff like that. I'm just sort of messing up where I am here for a second, where I wanted to go with this question.
No problem. I'm patient.
No problem. Good.
I'm listening.
Now, not only are you like the old school style of intake being followed by some of the clubs in the city still, but is that not basically the same procedure that the MMPR follows? Where you go, you get the paperwork, right? You got the paperwork in the old school time. You got the paperwork from the club. These days, they get it from the LP. You take it to the doctor. They get it signed.
Right.
They turn around, return it to the person they got it from. The club, and then they turn around and confirm. Right.
Yes, that's exactly how it's done.
Yeah. So if it was, it's good enough for for the government to use it. Obviously, it's good for anybody else to use.
Well, it's a letter of diagnosis. It's a physician verifying that the person has a condition, a verifiable medical need is what it's called. We have to call the physician, discuss it. Was there problems? Was there problems with that in the early days? Calling a physician? Yes. See, the problem is that physicians aren't taught the endocannabinoid system. They don't know anything about it. They avoid it at all costs, especially back in the early 2000s. But what really kind of disturbed us is we were seeing kind of like a pattern where physicians, like people dealing with cancer, and especially with palliative care, that's urgent.
Correct.
So we, with legal advice, we developed what's called an authorization to release form. And basically, we would send this, and it would be signed by the patient, instructing their patients to release their medical information to us because physicians were failing to respect the patient's choice and how they chose to medicate. And so we would use that for cancer. HIV in the past has always been a shoe-in. That was actually how many of the clubs started, with a large base of HIV patients. And that was where my mind had completely changed about the medicinal aspects of cannabis, because then I realized there's something here, because I saw how it benefited people with wasting and stuff like that. So it was an amazing drug. And so we had to, like I said, we had to develop a form that we just bypassed the physician. If a person was in palliative, we want to make sure that they got their medicine of choice.
Right. Yes, exactly. Here's sort of an off-topic part of a question. Have you ever been in one, people look at cannabis as being, an illegal thing. Right now, there's an explosion going on of the centers.
Yes.
People are calling for them to be shut down, or some people are. Have you ever were you ever in one where it was raided?
Well, I was with CALM when it was raided.
You were there when they come?
Yes, I was there March 31st, 2010. Myself and 8 other staff, 51 divisions stormed in, and may I add, they didn't have to do that, but for some reason they felt they needed to do that in front of patients. They injured the door person to the point he still has repercussions from that injury today. They came downstairs. I thought we were being robbed because they looked like plain, ordinary people. And when the guy has a gun in his hand, you think that you're being robbed. So that was the PSPD moment that we had. And we were all gathered up, and we were taken down to 51 Division and finally released at 3 in the morning. And the charges were stayed eventually, but and we
by then the damage is done.
the damage is done. Yes, that was my family. We all felt really comfortable with each other. And I really knew that we were helping people at the time. When I left, it was a big hole in my life because I really enjoyed my work there. I really did. But it was hard. It was hard in all of it. And then they came in the second time, in August 4th, I believe it was. And so shortly after, I decided to leave, and then eventually wound up working with Marco Rendo and Treating Yourself, which was a really excellent experience.
Yes. Debbie, you're being quiet there. You got any questions? Put you on the spot again, eh?
How many, would you dare gander a guess at how many clubs are presently in Toronto?
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
well,
good question.
I'll tell you, I'll give you, if you go on weed maps, they are going around now, and they're trying to document and get all the clubs listed. I'm going to guess, I don't know, 30, 40 maybe? Hello? Yeah, I think so. They're opening up daily. They're in all areas of the city. Some clubs have multiple locations, but they all have different rules of intake, and that's interesting, but that does cause some confusion, I believe, for patients when one club does it one way and when another club does it the other way. So it's a different time. I'm not saying it's something I'm not used to, especially standing in the store and then someone just walks in. Oh, okay. We couldn't do that at COM. So, so it's taking some used to. I think that what I'd like to see is the clubs exist and develop a relationship of standards. Maybe I heard one LP owner actually suggested that he wouldn't have a problem supplying the clubs as long as they got it from a legal source. So who knows what the future will bring. I think we need to protect home grow for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be protected,
sure.
Patients. Yeah. Also, may I say that in the regulation framework with medical, they need to have it covered by benefit plans, and they have to have, because people on ODSP or any provincial disability program, it's very difficult when you're living on like $1,000 a month. How are you going to afford medications? So I'd like to see that happen where even company benefit plans will pay for it, because then it's truly a medicine. Well, it is a medicine, so we just need to verify that.
Yeah, and that's going to require government's going to have to change things so that that gets its number, whatever it needs, in order for the pharmaceutical companies to process that. Now,
it's called the drug identification number. Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking of the drug identification number, and
exactly.
And it's my understanding with how a drug identification number works is that it's not possible to apply it to cannabis because, I mean, if you get a bottle of Tylenol number 3, you're guaranteed that every last one they're all the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if you get a bag of bud, even if the bud is all from the same plant, they're actually a little bit different one from the other as to their cannabinoid profile. So it makes it very difficult to issue a DIN, as the pharmacists call it, to what I would refer to more as a natural health product like cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they could give general DIN numbers. For example, maybe they could say indica strains, sativa strains, hybrids, whatever. Shatter, oil. They could all have separate. But I don't. The way the government does things, I doubt that they're going to go for that kind. Because if you just change the formulation on a pill, it gets a different DIN number right away. So if a strain goes through some kind of variation, I just don't know how it's going to play out. But all I care about is as long as the the medical patients are taken care of, and that's my prime concern.
Well, definitely, and veterans are getting coverage under some insurance plan. I understand there's a 10 gram a day cap on that, but they've found a route around it. Someone told me that it involved actually assigning a number to the patient rather than the product.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that you took that
I've yet
step.
to verify that closer to a veteran who actually is a recipient of cannabis because of insurance coverage.
Have either one of you heard of this? This is what I'm getting from some patients when we're working in the booth, and that's that they're going to, say, like a place that does the signing, and the doctors, instead of, like, they're prescribing them the grammage, okay, but they're also prescribing them the THC level. Have you heard of anything like that? Basically, what it is in the prescription.
I know what you're saying. It's like a cap for that particular patient. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. It doesn't allow the patient to find, because cannabis works differently with everybody.
Exactly.
And like it just restricts that patient to, let's say, 12% THC. It doesn't allow the patient to, work with it as far as a higher THC level or a lower THC level. I don't know whether it's just this one location that I'm hearing about it from, but I didn't know whether either one of you.
Are you talking about like say a cannabinoid clinic or a dispensary? Is you're talking?
It's just a signing clinic. They offer health. Yeah, they offer health services. They don't. It's not a dispensary in any way.
I've not had a lot of experience with it. I'm aware of one up on Yonge and Eglinton that is developing quite a patient base, and I do know that they use other cannabinoid products to aid their patients, basically for monetary reasons. I think it was expressed by the physician. But that's all good. If patients are getting benefit from it, that's great.
Yeah. Well,
any chance that this clinic might have a licensed producer affiliation?
Well, what it is what they offer the patients is signing for free. No charge, which is a benefit to the patient, for free if they go to one of eight licensed producers. If the patient decides that they want to go outside of those 8 and go to one of the other 21 or 22, whatever it is now, they're more than welcome to. They will print off the person's paperwork and charge them a fee of $25.
That's right.
So, I look at that as being, $25. It can be a problem for some patients, but it's not a $250 or a $500 fee. Right?
Well, but see, here's again, we get into the situation where it is not a consistent fee. People are, dealing with different prices. It should be a free service. It should be a prescription. Does your doctor charge you for Tylenol 3 when he writes your prescription? No.
Well, I think what they look at it as is the doctor part of it is free, but they're charging for their services.
Yeah. It's outside their regular framework, I guess.
Go ahead, Deb.
You hit the nail on the head a while ago, Sandra, when you mentioned that by and large, any of the colleges that educate physicians don't offer any training whatsoever in the endocannabinoid system. I mean, I doubt that they know that there are cannabinoids present in mother's breast milk or that there's any more than THC in cannabis, for goodness sakes, let alone the plethora of medical benefits that one can reap from consuming the plant.
And that's why I think it's really hopeful that we're now seeing a younger generation of physicians coming in and embracing that knowledge. And if you ever want to see a really good video, U of T produced a really good endocannabinoid video. And I understand U of T actually has educational programs that teach about that. So we've come a long way, baby.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know they did that.
We've come a long way, but we do have a ways to go yet, right?
Oh,
we do.
for sure.
And I'm really hoping that we can fulfill Jody's request, Jody Emery, to be on the panel with our wonderful guy, Mr. Blair. I think
that's like having a task force on mental health issues and not having anybody from the mental health community on the task force. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she actually made that point, and I think that she's a good spokesperson. I think that she can really explain how to make it right in the framework, and I'm really hoping that positive things will come of it. Actually, I'm pretty encouraged. I do hear by the wind that they are. It's going to be pretty good. So I don't know. I don't want to, predict.
Yeah, I think that announcement's supposed to be coming up in a couple of weeks.
Well, they did say that they're going to announce next year at 420. I don't know if that's true, but that the Jane Philpott, the health minister, did mention that they would do that. So I'm looking forward to next year. This year's 420 was pretty good. We didn't get a lot. I don't think we got a lot of media coverage for it, but that's okay. We provide our own.
It's becoming normal. It's not. It's not so. As far as it's happening all the time.
Yeah, it's normal.
Maybe to them, it's not. It's not big news anymore.
No, exactly. I mean, how many years have they seen a big cloud of smoke on April 20th over Dundas Square? It's been amazing.
Unless they're looking for new footage of people blowing smoke into the camera or something.
Yeah, well, they got lots of that on April 20th. They certainly did. It was a good time. They had the Killing Time band there. I love them.
Yeah.
Yes. And I got a lot of good photos and met a lot of great people, and it was packed. If you tried to move amongst that crowd, it would take you at least a half hour to get to Yonge Street to get through them all.
Yeah.
It was that thick.
Yes, it would. Well, Deb, have you got any more questions for Sandra? I see we've gone past our time, which happens occasionally.
Before I go, is it all right if I just say shout out to someone?
Well, sure. I just want to check first to see if Debbie had any questions for you before I ask you that.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered such a wide range of topics that at this point I can't think of a single thing, and just kind of checking my little cheat sheet here and notes I made before the show, I think we've covered everything.
Good.
I enjoyed that.
Do you think of anything, Sandra, that you might like to touch on that we haven't hit upon?
Yeah, I'd like to put a kind of a general feel out to our community, is that I do understand that we all have differences. Everybody does. And anything that anyone does in life, we have differences. But we need to come together on May 7th and show our cannabis pride and fight for patients' rights and fight for legalization. I think it's crucial that we get together in a spirit of cooperation and love, and I think it'll be an awesome year for the march.
I believe so too. I think that with more and more, it's out in the news constantly.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we do get attention. The biggest year we ever had was 2010, when Mark Emery, just before he left to the United States. It was a sad time for him and Jody, but he did get a moment on the stage. And we had like 40,000 people following us behind the truck that year down Yonge Street. That was amazing.
I'll tell you, it's great. You walk down there and you just hear the chants pounding, echoing off the tall buildings and everything. So.
At least this year we won't hear things like, hey, hey, ho, ho, Stephen Harper's got to go.
Yeah, he's already gone.
yeah, that's good. But, I'm feeling really positive that change is coming soon, and I hope that most of the community is happy with it. we'll see what we get.
Yeah, we won't. Not everybody will be pleased. It's a large community, so
absolutely not. But
yeah.
As long as it's there for the general good of patient, and not more importantly, I think I've heard it said that all use is medical. I would agree. We have an endocannabinoid system, so why don't we use it? So there you go.
Yep, some of us need topping up. Otherwise, we end up with some autoimmune condition.
Well, exactly. That seems to be the most prevalent theory now, that most of the all of the autoimmune disorders are caused by endocannabinoid deficiency. So
yes, I've heard that theory, and that some people lack the necessary cannabinoids for their body to function, to do all the necessary things like what your liver does, what your kidneys does. Cannabinoids restores function to a lot of things. So, and regulation will also open the door to research.
True.
Because we need to understand why people are saying oil may cure cancer. So they are saying it. So I think our government has an obligation to explore that.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be nice to see them do that. So
yes,
all right.
It would
see,
be.
that is one of the upsides with licensed producers and the monies that they're putting into their businesses and corporations. Will be some of that money going into research, because if you can provide the doctors with the research, producers and the money.
Hello?
Oh,
yeah,
did we lose?
Here.
We might have lost Debbie.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because they're putting the money in the research. They are coming up with the research that people claim doesn't exist. I don't know.
It's there. It's there.
I don't know where they.
I guess conservatives can't read. We know that. Oh, sorry. I'm on my there.
Behave, Sam. Behave. Well, isn't Tilray doing some research in regards to PTSD?
I've not heard that. I'm going to check that out.
There's another one doing some research into arthritis as well.
Oh, excellent. That's what we need. We need them to take a proactive
thing
because that all that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Actually, I understand. We also got another licensed producer approved today. I think I forgot the name of the.
Yeah, I saw one announced yesterday, or maybe it was today, because I was texting with Adam Greenblatt over that, because I called it they announced another licensed producer for a program that's been validated as unconstitutional by the courts. And the LPs aren't unconstitutional, but the program itself has been found unconstitutional. That's why it needs to be changed.
I got to tell you, my license expired before the injunction. And so basically, for the last 3 years, I've not really had decent access. I can't be the only patient on the planet in Canada here that goes through that, and it's such a shame. But we really need to restore grow rights. We need to perhaps explore the option of having a designated grower for a patient. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with
that part of the program should definitely stay in place. And there are at least 20,000 patients like yourself, Sandra, who were left out because of the Allard injunction.
Yes, and I'm really happy for those patients. Trust me, I really am, because, they can continue to grow, they continue to have access. That's great. But, unfortunately, not everyone, and everyone needs to remember that not everyone falls under that.
That's right.
We need to change that.
Half did and half didn't.
Yeah.
And it's a really sad situation. I know here in Nova Scotia of a few of the patients who've been raided, and I also know of a patient who is covered who was also raided, having plants, medicine, and equipment taken.
I heard that. There was a patient here in Ontario that apparently had a seizure, and police came in. He woke up in the hospital, and they arrested him, and he was legal.
Oh, really?
I don't know much about it. I'd have to kind of research it back. I think it happened about a month ago. But that's horrible. I mean, the person's already got a major illness, and then has to deal with the criminal law aspect of it, and then then that just there's the stigma again. Everyone treats the person like a criminal when in fact he's just trying to make his life more healthy and to live, in a healthy way.
Exactly.
For sure, there's the stigma, and like you mentioned yourself with the raid at COM, you end up often with PTSD as a result of it, because it's
I'm not going to make light of that, because I'm okay now, but that really did affect me, because that was the last thing I expected, because I just really didn't think that they would do that. So that's fine. That shattered that little bubble of mine, and it took me a while, but I
know how you feel, Sandra. In the 80s, I was at the end of a gun myself. I was working in a gas station, and a guy walked in and held me up.
Yeah, that, and you'll never forget that. But may I also say, too, that yes, COM, we had our experiences, but Toronto Compassion Centre had their share of tragedies as well. I don't really want to provide details, but they did, and that has affected very close friends of mine that work there, and it's a shame. Like I said, 51 Division, all they had to do was give us a call and say, like, we want to come over and visit you. That's all they had to do.
Yeah, and the thing is that you're just helping people who had their doctors were supporting them.
And that's it. I remember that I think it was the second raid. I mean, again, 3,000 people at that time were out of medicine. And, so I had to, liaison with a couple of people in our community to help up a couple of our more needy members, I guess you could say, medically. And I managed to do that afterwards. But the owners side, well, no, we're going to open up in a couple of days, and we did after the second raid, and COM is still running today. So.
Still is, that's right.
Yeah, apparently with 4 locations now.
I was going to say, it's got a second store. Okay, we're as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we've run over our time.
Yep, thank you very much
we're good.
for having me on the show.
And so this is the time of the show where I ask you to throw a shout out to somebody.
Oh, this is
person, place, thing, website, anything along that line that you'd like to highlight or promote?
Well, I'm really excited about something that I'm involved with right now, and a young lady by the name of Jennifer Pixie, she goes by that name on Facebook. She is got a dispensary near Bloor and Ossington called the Care Center. Give you a little history on Jennifer. Jennifer was the young lady that taught me everything I know about the business when I came into COM, and I'm very, very, very grateful for her. So right now I'm just helping them out on an educational basis. That's what they do. I believe you were there, right?
Yes, I was there for the opening.
I mean,
you were there too.
I was there too. They provide safe access and what I like to say, with class and style to its members.
Nice.
It really is. And by the way, Leafly gave them a 5-star review.
They did, eh?
Yeah, I saw that just today, so I was really happy about it. So go see Jennifer. The website is www.thecarecenter, center spelled CENTER.ca. So it's thecarecenter.ca. They're at 948 Bloor Street. Come visit us, learn about cannabis and what we can do for you.
Good. And Debbie, have you got somebody you'd like to throw a shout out to?
Well, actually, I have some buddies.
That sounds good.
I guess I'd like to start out by congratulating you on the Grassroots Advocate. It's an awesome little magazine. full of wonderful cannabis education. I'm not sure where all it's available in your neck of the woods, but certainly thanks to BMA Hydroponics and the kindness of Ross and Deb Middleton, Mom are receiving a bundle of them on a monthly basis, and it was something that we were able to distribute to the folks who attended our conference last weekend in Truro. So it was a awesome, wonderful addition to our event with the article on cannabinoids in it, and we certainly look forward, thanks to all your hard work, Al, in pulling it together, and the kindness and sponsorship from BMA Hydroponics.
Thank you, Debbie, for your kind words. That's as you know, I'm involved with it, and I have a friend by the name of Lisa, who does all my layout and artwork in order to get it together. And like you say, it's out once a month. People can download it for free at the PACE website, so they can get it from there. And we really appreciate that BMA is sending 25 copies down to you each month. And we have another business that sends 25 copies to Northern Ontario Kim, so she can distribute them out there. And we have a third company coming on called Nexus. It is a seed wholesaler. They are going to be doing the same thing. 25 copies being sent to an organization or a group somewhere in Canada for them to distribute them. So it's just all about getting the education and the information out to everybody.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thanks again for the part that you play in that, Al.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Al. That's awesome.
Yes, actually, I just so you know, Sandra, I did touch base with Diana on this.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, you can mention it to her. Yeah, we distribute them at all the businesses that are located on the back of the magazine. There's about 10 of them. And it's all sort of local, just like the cover of it, Grassroots Advocate. That's what we're doing. So, alrighty, let's wrap this thing up. Tonight's music was by Collectivo, and as we depart tonight, we'll hear more of their song tonight. But before we leave, I'm going to let everyone know that I will be back next Wednesday with my joint host, Kim Cooper, and her guest, Robert Neron. Kim will be discussing everything from Northern Ontario, the Northern Ontario Hemp Fest, to Robert's court cases. You can find Pace on Twitter at Pace Radio, and you can also like the Pace Radio show on Facebook. We can also be found on the web at pace-online.ca, or you can find us by searching for People Advocating Cannabis Education. Thank you to our sponsors, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics, and obviously they are involved in the cannabis community. Al Rapp of Lifestyle Radio, thank you to him. And to our guest, cannabis patient advocate Sandra Petite, who we will most certainly have to have again back on the show in the future.
It would be a pleasure.
As well as my joint host, Debbie Stoll-Skiffen of the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. Plus a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning into the program. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Par l'esprit du Rastaman. Whoa, everybody get into the trance. Whoa, montrez-moi vos mains, I see your hands. Whoa, I'm just here to give myself a chance. Whoa, j'ai connu un Jamaïcain qui aimait danser. Il m'a donné une formule magique, je vais essayer. J'espère que ça va fonctionner et que tout le monde sans exception va danser. Il ne faut pas oublier pourquoi nous sommes si chantant comme Jamaïcan. On fait le tour du monde ici au Yucatan. Pour vous endoctriner, vous convertir en ban. The so you said resisting just like a book to plan.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.